food and music separately, and also the relationship between food and music mean to you?
I associate generally just positive, wonderful experiences with music and food. Like, I always think if I'm having a party, what am I serving? What will be the foods? And then what will be the music track?
You know, they're certainly not literally related. And I was hard pressed to come up with thoughts about what I should say on stage at the Broad stage. But I've always been impressed by how many chefs that I've encountered either began as musicians and transferred into cooking or related cooking to music. There is something there is something there. I mean, even the French slang for the kitchen stove is the piano. You know, you have to tune your piano. You have to put your burner to exactly the right level. So there are always musical metaphors.
I played music myself back in my younger days.
There are often musical metaphors.
When you're playing music, restaurant business is a good job to have because it's flexible and.
What did you play?
Drums.
Cool.
Drums.
Great.
So it's it's a good job to have. You meet a lot of other people that play music, and artists tend to work in restaurants. Flexible hours. So that's kind of how I got started in both. And then just from working in different places that you go to when you travel throughout the world, or places you work at, that to me, I think when you go out to eat, I think it's important to have not only good food, but the atmosphere should be good as well. And there's different places that appeal to different types of people. The types of places that appeal to me are places that play good music and kind of push it with the volume, lively. That kind of work with the kind of food you serve. So yeah, I mean that's kind of like what we try to achieve.
Do you have any specific memories of, if I were to, or if you were to think about a certain meal, like would a certain song come to mind, or vice versa?
Not so much, I think, that specific, but more maybe like just places that I've been to. And
can you mention one?
Yeah, I mean, I was at Mario Batali's place in New York one time, and it was like really good food, on the higher end, and they had like white tablecloths, and it was a mostly elderly crowd, but some young people. But he was blasting like rock and roll,
and how did that impact the experience for you?
Yeah, this is cool. This is good. This can be done. It doesn't have to be stuffy.
Definitely.
And I've worked in a couple of places. I used to work at the old Green Street Grill, and we used to have tons of live music there all the time. So there's always like a jukebox. But it's just always like music, loud, people enjoying it, people enjoying their food. So it's just like, it almost becomes like second.
Because I feel like I've had like really memorable romantic dinners with your dad, like in Paris with French music playing in the background.
How does that impact the meal?
It's the ambiance, then it creates an atmosphere, and then I remember the music as much as it helps me mark the experience. It helps me remember the night. It goes in my memory of something I love, and I enjoyed, or I think about, I think about childhood. Weirdly, I think of childhood and like even the music on television shows as the background music sometimes to when we were having fun and eating dinner, and it just makes me feel really happy.
My folks, my parents owned small, like mom and pop type places when I was younger.
Okay.
So that's how I got into it. And then again, playing. I didn't go to school. I didn't go to culinary school. I didn't go to college. I was playing music. So again, playing music, I had to pay the rent. If you're playing original music, it's kind of hard to just if you don't have a #1 record or a top 100 record, right? You're not really making any money.
Right.
So you had to work as well. So I like cooking too. I like being in the kitchens. So that's kind of how I expanded career. And then later on in life, you get tired of the bars and whatnot, and you have a kid and wife, and it's time to get a real job.
Right.
So,
And
so then I open up this place, and I'm like, all right, so I still love music. How can I infuse it into my life, into this restaurant that I'm going to be at 90 hours a week? How can I still show some kind of love for music? And that's whether it's picking songs for the jukebox or the iPod or sporadic live music that we have here.
great.
That's kind of how.
Awesome. And as far as how did you said you didn't go to culinary school or anything, how did you develop that skill in cooking? Was it from your parents or just from
Well, I mean, you start off like that, but then you work with some good chefs here and there, and some great chefs, and you learn from everybody. You learn from dishwashers from El Salvador, busboys from Brazil. You learn from everybody.
That writing about cooking and music are all really interrelated for me. I wrote, every morning that I wrote with the viola. What were they? The viola da gamba suites by Bach. Great viola suites, followed by the Goldberg variations. And this was how I got into the work of writing about the work of learning to cook. So I think that maybe the muscles of practicing music and the muscles of learning to cook, of dicing an onion, of stirring a mise en place, are similar. So I think the actual physical, muscular work of music and cooking are similar.
So as far as your cooking experience, you're by no means a chef.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anytime. What made you decide you wanted to engage in this very different process?
Well, obviously, I have been inspired by you and the class you're taking on food and culture, and you were talking to me about Turntable Kitchen. It sounded completely cool and interesting, so I went to check it out. And because you're from a family where you have a father who completely loves music, and you have a mother who's completely challenged by cooking, and I will not live down that my memorable meal I had to tell you was the rolling in the tuna meal, which I just felt determined to overcome and actually make a home-cooked meal with real ingredients that I could be proud of. So I checked it out and I said, you know what, I'm going to try this out. And I registered and I got my first Turntable Kitchen box just a few weeks ago. And it was very intimidating but exciting.
So you were terrified when you opened the box?
Terrified.
We call it seasonal American comfort food, meaning that we do 2 app specials, 2 entree specials at least every night, and that's really where we showcase whatever's in season at the moment. And we also changed our regular menu 4 times a year.
Okay.
So it's eclectic, and it's I feel like it's a place where you can go and there's something for everybody. There's something for grandma, there's something for the kids, there's something for the foodies, the locavores,
So it's pretty well rounded.
Yeah.
Does it what about the menu reflects the food that you love? Is this, food you ate in your childhood or when you were on the road? And
Well, no, it has. I don't. One thing about chefs is I didn't want the food. I'm not trying to impress other chefs. I'm not trying to be trendy. I'm not trying to be on top of some sort of trend. We serve the food here because I think that's what the neighborhood needs, and that's what people want.
can I see this thing?
Yeah, go up. Turn the pages.
Can you explain to me what's in here and jukebox and why certain?
Well, I mean, most of them are my personal CDs that these guys were nice enough to use.
That's awesome.
It's just the whole idea is it kind of looks like someone's record collection at home, right?
Yeah, talented person, musical persons.
And it's okay. People come up and even look at it.
Someone will turn on this like really slow song because that's like what they're feeling at the moment, and it'll just like totally change the mood.
Music was music they put together, and it was indie California bands. So they're nobody you know, and they were all kind of cool and interesting. But Dad and I decided to expand the notion of merging food and music for the night, and the theme of California living. He went to Spotify, and he created an entire amazing track of all California-based music or California artists, because clearly it was going to take me more than 2 sides of a record to crack the code on this music.
How did you end up prevailing and being successful and confident enough to do it?
Well, firstly, I felt, well, in terms of the music, Dad it was just really eclectic, all kinds of music, from really early California music to very current music.
And songs help you get in a rhythm of cooking, or do you remember like, oh, I was listening to this song while I was slicing the onions, or I was listening to this one when I chopped my finger off?
Well, speaking of chopping my finger, let's see if you still see it. I did cut my entire thumb open the minute I heard Ladies of the Canyon from Joni Mitchell, because as you know, Joni Mitchell is like one of my idols, and Dad sprinkled Joni Mitchell music throughout the night, and every time I heard
She made you
Joni,
so excited that you just decided to...
Yeah, every time I heard a Joni Mitchell song, I would be like, oh my God, I love that song. I love that song. And I was in the middle of, I think, doing the lemon zesting. I was zesting, and I zested off some of my thumb.
Did you put it in the meal?
Yes, I'm like Hannibal Lecter. No. Well, first I went shopping for all the ingredients. The meal that I was charged to do that night was, it was a crostini with burrata with a little lemon zest on the top, which I was like, what in the heck is lemon zest? That was already a little scary, but I got all the ingredients. And then the next part of the meal was a cioppino, fish stew, which was in honor of all the beautiful Pacific Ocean and the amazing seafood we can get. And that was very scary because one of the ingredients was fish stock. And we went to 5 stores and couldn't find any fish stock. And then finally somebody told us the trick, which was get vegetable stock and just soak it for 20 minutes with all the shells of the seafood that you're going to make. And so that was very complicated, but we ended up doing that, and that was exciting. And then the dessert was a strawberry with cardamom pop cream and with lemon curd. And they sent us a special ingredient, which was the cardamom pop seeds that are inside each pod.
Did it force you when you bought the food? I know they focus on California living, and obviously we're an important state as far as produce is concerned. Did it force you to think about where the food is sourced from and what the quality is, and to look in different markets and compare different ingredients and see and see how, produce in California works and force you to go be a customer of that?
I decided that I was only going to shop at Whole Foods. First of all, because I wanted to get only organic produce from local farms, because I was going to stick very, very, very specifically to that whole California, experience, and I wanted to really, pay tribute to that with all the, and they have a lot of local farm produce, and then I got fresh, fish that was caught that day. So I tried to, I was pretty conscious of, where things were coming from, that these were things that were coming from farms around us and from the ocean, and it was all California based, and I got California wine, from Napa. So I was pretty conscious.
Do you think the next time you cook a meal like this, you would consider even, having a more direct relationship and going to a farmer's market and dealing with the growers directly?
Yes. I think the next thing I'm going to do is go to the Santa Monica Farmers Market and really now that I see how wonderful it is to actually cook with beautiful fresh ingredients, I think that I want to go right to the truly, face to face with the local farmers, and I know that they are there every weekend. So yes, I think now that I know I could cook, which was a big shock, to be honest with you. It really seemed, it's like someone discovering that they can paint when they never thought they could. I can cook. I just was intimidated by cooking, and I never was that good at it. Because the meal was beautiful, I could not believe that I pulled it off. The music created a wonderful, we have the whole CD of it, of all the songs, which we said to ourselves, we're going to reproduce this meal again when I need to impress somebody, and I'm going to play the same track. So the music, the smells, I also, just the whole experience, I wanted to process the whole thing. I mean, nothing smells more beautiful to me than fennel root. It's just beautiful, all the fresh smells, the California music, just created an incredible experience. I felt really lucky, lucky that, one, I live in such a beautiful place, two, that I have a daughter who can share amazing things that I keep getting inspired by, and three, that I made the damn meal. And it was good.
I think food pleases us in nonverbal ways in the same way that music does. I mean, I can't describe why I love Bach, the Bach cello suites.
Right.
I just do. I can't describe why I love a perfectly fried sweet potato chip. It's just, the chip tastes so good. Oh, Yo-Yo Ma playing, Bach's cello suite number 1 makes me feel so good.
Definitely.
So they hit us on a similar level somehow. Chefs are very conscious of this connection. Music is fundamental to, just being alive. I mean, we don't exist without rhythm. We don't exist without tapping out some kind of beat, humming to ourselves, singing songs that we've heard. We're hardwired to create music. And we are also the only animals that cook. We're the only animals that cook our food. So there has to be some connection to them.